Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke Payson, and I am always honored to have a first-time guest of the show. But this first-time guest is even a bigger honor for me. My first ever Division II national champion wrestler on the show. Super excited to have 2021 Division II NCAA national champ at 149 pounds, at the time competing for Fairmont State University from the great Mountain State of West Virginia, Luke Martin. Champ, welcome to the show.
Sick intro, man. Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on the show. You're actually on the show to talk about your upcoming debut MMA fight for 247 Fighting Championship Brawl in the Burgh 18 at the Meadows, October 21st, which I guess I'll start with a softball question. Have you been to a 247 Fighting Championship event before, and what was the highlight, or what do you remember from that if you were?
Yeah, I went to the last one. And the last one that was at the convention center in Monroeville when Siebert fought Cam and Miguel fought. So I went there. Yeah, obviously the highlight of the night was Siebert.
Yeah, that was really exciting. That was the first ever Sprawl in the Burgh, Brawl in the Burgh combo. And 247, I mean, that was just a home run hit from both of the events. UFC Hall of Famer being a big deal, obviously, in the Sprawl in the Burgh, going up against legendary Dr. Isaac Greeley. And then, of course, you mentioned Lucas Siebert becoming 145-pound champ, which is actually your weight division. Your debut is going to be at 145. But let's back up. You're a national champ. But before you were a national champ, you wrestled in high school in West Virginia. What high school did you wrestle for? What was that experience like? I saw in your bio that you got 3 state championships, which is a big deal, obviously, as a high school student. So kind of break down briefly your high school wrestling experience. What did you learn from that? And what of those 3 titles, state titles, really stand out to you now?
So I went to Parkersburg South High School in Parkersburg, West Virginia, and they love wrestling. Man, we love wrestling down there. We had a good team. It's a dynasty. It's a tradition. You know, you grow up like when you're wrestling in Parkersburg, man, like you grow up in it. Like you're just forged in it. And I was blessed to have like some of the best coaches, best training partners, man. Like I was on teams with like killers like Josh Humphreys, 3rd place NCAAs last year, 157 for Lehigh. Absolute freak. Braxton Amos wrestles at Wisconsin right now, Olympic redshirting this year, trying to get to Paris for Greco. Absolute freak. Braden Roberts, beast. Just a lot of guys, man. Like a lot of us went Division I. Another D2 national champ, Gavin Kiocho for Glenville State. We were on the same team for a few years. He's a couple years younger than me though, but we just like I just grew up wrestling. Like truthfully, like in a hard room, we were always competing. I just grew up like learning how to compete like at a young age, like how to compete at a high level and like how to train and like our head coach Sean Smith at home at Parkersburg South. He's just the man. Like I owe that dude so much because there were so many times where like I wanted to just maybe I was having a hard time with wrestling. Maybe I dropped a couple matches, whatever. And I was just always struggling, it seemed like, and he was always able to pick me up and, you know, just help me out. And even now, like, I still remember things that like he said when I was in high school, like even when I'm training now, like when I was training in college, some of the things that he said to me, like had stuck out to me and they really resonated. And I still think about that stuff sometimes, but I was able to place 4 times at states, 3-time champ. Actually my freshman year, I lost to Humphreys in the semis. He pinned me in the semis. So, and then he transferred to my school when we were seniors. But anyways, my favorite one was probably my senior year. Cause it was a bigger deal to me because the guy I was wrestling was from Parkersburg too. He was at our rival high school. We were both one of the best in the country, both probably top 20 at the time. He had beat me in the duel that year in January, and I was I struggled with that a little bit, but it's wrestling, man. It's a long season. So, I put myself back together, got back, beat him at regionals, had a close match at regionals. And then going into the finals, I knew I was in for a tough one, and it was going to be a long match, and I just had to come prepared, ready to compete. And that's exactly what I did. And I think I beat him by 14 or 13 or something like that. I just had a big match. I had probably one of the best performances of my wrestling career, definitely in high school. So yeah, it was definitely my senior year, 2018, for sure.
Well, thanks for all that detail. Always great to see shout outs to your high school wrestling coach. Middle school, high school coaches of any sport probably spend more time helping athletes deal with emotions and potential and learning than even the sport itself. It's a lot of technique for the sport. But I remember my third grade basketball coach. I ended up not doing basketball long, but I still remember Coach Beidelman. Thanks, Coach Beidelman. There's a lot of coaching. There's a lot of maturity that goes into those beginning developmental years when you're in sports. So awesome that your high school has such a dynasty. Also, thanks for giving us kind of a breakdown of your three state titles, as well as obviously placing all 4 years. Really great. You went right out of high school to WU, probably the obvious Division I wrestling powerhouse choice for you. I know at one point you transferred out of that. COVID really messed everything up. How was your time at West Virginia, the positives of your time at West Virginia University before being interrupted by COVID and landing at Fairmont State?
Dude, I loved West Virginia. I still do. Like, I have a ton of respect for like all of those coaches, like Coach Flynn, Coach Moore, Coach Port. Like, those dudes helped me really like see my wrestling for what it was, and like my training, and they really showed me things that like I use to this day, like ways that I train, like just some things like Port was really good for me at the time. Like, I just have a ton of respect for all those guys. But when I was coming out of high school, I didn't really get like crazy recruited. Like there wasn't like schools like all over me, like begging me to come there. But like Coach Henson at the time at West Virginia was the head coach. And then he left right before I graduated high school. So it was literally like 2 weeks before I graduated high school. So I was like, all right, I don't know who they're gonna hire. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do school wise, because it's late. Like every school gave away their money. It was just, I had to kind of live with whatever they chose. And I saw they picked Flynn and they hired Flynn, and I was like, okay, I'm going. Like, let's go. And I got there, and it was good, dude. I loved it. Like that summer bridge, like going and I met some of my best friends that like I'll be friends with for the rest of my life. Guys like Siebert, so, and then going into the year, I was gonna redshirt, and then Joe Wheeling had to get his knee repaired, and I was the next guy up. So they threw me in, and I was in, and it helped me a lot, man. It showed me how to compete, like at that level, because you're in high school, you get used to wrestling these younger guys, and then next thing you know, you're in college, you're at weigh-ins, and these are grown men. So you got to figure it out. You got to adapt. You just got to be ready for anything. And I loved West Virginia, and I still do. I'm always going to be a huge WVU fan. And like being from West Virginia, like we don't have pro teams, like we don't have professional sports. So like WVU is just like king, like, and it just always will be, whether I went there and left or whatever. Even when I was at Fairmont State, I was still living in Morgantown. So I'll always be tied to WVU. I'll always love WVU for sure.
Well, now that we started talking about what you obviously learned and gained from West Virginia, you mentioned Lucas Siebert a couple of times, who was a walk-on at WVU, and then now a huge deal, highest ranked amateur fighter at 135 and 45, at least top 5 or 10 in Tapology. Let's get to Fairmont State. COVID's hitting. It's a crazy year. You end up at Fairmont State. I believe you wrestled for just that one national championship season, which is incredible. What was that 2021 season? I know it was shortened. You went undefeated both in the regular season and, of course, to win the title. But what was that whole like whirlwind transferring to Fairmont State, then being on the wrestling team, but it being a compressed season, and then ending up at nationals ranked 5th, and of course running the table, winning a dominant 12-5 in the championships against another undefeated. So just run down the 2021 season prior to the national tournament, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the national tournament.
So when I left West Virginia, I didn't really want to wrestle anymore because I was having like, it was just like those, like as like somebody that's like highly competitive, like you're just always asking yourself those questions and like beating yourself up about things. So I just kind of was like, man, wrestling's so hard right now. I don't know. And I just kind of left and wasn't really planning on coming back to wrestling at all. And I actually wanted to start MMA at that time. And then my friend Zeke Moisey, who was a national finalist at West Virginia years ago, and he sent me a text and he was like, hey man, I'm the assistant coach at Fairmont State now. We restarted a program. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, nah. I was like, man, that's a big commitment, dude. I don't know. And he was like, nah. He was like, you're gonna like come wrestle for me. And I was like, but there was still that part of me that was like just so, I just wanted to wrestle so bad. Like I was itching to wrestle, but at the same time, like I just didn't really want to dive into it again. But I came up there, I went up to Fairmont and I trained a little bit and I was like, yeah, I'm coming back. And then I came back. This is the 2020 season. And I came back and I redshirted. I didn't do anything. I didn't compete. I trained the entire time. Trained with Zeke every day, working every day. And you know, I just knew I was coming back and I was ready to go. And then that next year came around and COVID happened and our head coach at the time, Chris Freege, had left during that summer and we hired Colin Johnston and he came back and Zeke had left. So I was Colin Johnston and John Ferens and, you know, they came and as soon as Colin got there, like, I was just like, I want to win an NCAA title. Like I want to win and I want to win bad. Like I want to dominate everybody that's in front of me. And he was like, all right, dude, let's do it. And season started in January and I hit the ground rolling. And I wanted to win bad. And I wanted to take a piece of every person that I beat. Like I wanted to walk off the mat and like that person be like, man, I don't care how many times I wrestle him. I don't think I'll ever get him. Like that's what I want my opponent to feel like when I'm done. I want him to be like, oh, I'm just not good enough to beat him yet. Like that's what I want them to be thinking. And we only had 14 matches, but I had some tall tasks. I wrestled a lot of tough guys like Jacob Ely, UPJ. He's a beast, 2-time All-American at this point, I think, maybe even 3. I'm not sure. He's a beast. But I wrestled Don Means from Gannon. He was number 2 in the country at the time at regionals. I took him out in the finals. And then on to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and now that we're to the NCAA tournament, there wasn't a lot of a long season. It was a compressed season. You came in undefeated. You were ranked 5th, and so that meant you had to go up against the number 1 seed. And now looking back on it, because I was able to find it on YouTube, it's a great match. You won 12-5 the championship, but obviously the commentators were bringing up kind of the ranking. Did you concern yourself at all? Because obviously if it's a longer season, rankings probably mean more, but a shorter condensed season did you get bothered by the fact that you were a 5 and had to take out the number 1 seed, or were you just kind of glad to be slotted in there? Because a tournament, by definition, you're going to be able to win everything if you keep winning.
Yeah, man, I didn't care.
No.
They could have seeded me last. They shouldn't have even seeded me. I really didn't care, man. I just wanted to compete. Like kind of like the same way that I am now. Like I just wanted to compete with the best. Like I saw so the bracket came out and I was like, okay, this is where we're at and whatever. And my coach was like, man, they gave us the 5 seed. We got a tough road. And I was like, good. I want it that way. Like, you know, whatever. Especially because I had Sam Turner from Nebraska Kearney in the quarters if we both made it. And I wrestled him in Wyoming when he was at Wyoming and I was at West Virginia. my freshman year on my birthday, and he pinned me in like a minute because the match started and I tried to throw him and I ended up on my back and he pinned me, and that stung. I was kind of mad, and then I saw that he went D2, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll wrestle him one day. And then I had him at nationals in the quarters, and I was like, it was a tough one because like obviously you remember like your opponents and stuff, and you remember how you felt, like you remember how they felt during the match and stuff, and I wanted that one back. I really wanted that one back, and you know, when you first see that you're gonna wrestle somebody that's like beat you before, you have that like fear, like you have that like damn, like I gotta wrestle him again. You know, it's gonna be a long one, but you know, I put on my shoes and warmed up, and I was ready to go. And same thing with everybody else. I wanted to go out there and put it on him. You know, I wanted to dominate, same way I did everybody else, and I wanted to take him down and take him down a bunch of times and score a ton of points. And we had a good match, dude. And I walked away with the win. And then I wrestled Gavin Londoff in the semis, who was a beast. He qualified for nationals in Division 1. I can't remember what school, maybe Missouri, but I'm not sure. But he went to Lindenwood, and he was the 1 seed, and we wrestled in the semis, and he was beating me with like 30 seconds left, something like that. I don't know. I've actually never even watched that match because track wrestling's like, it won't let me in to watch it for some reason. But anyways, we're wrestling, 30 seconds left. I looked at the clock. I remember looking at the clock and looking at my coach and him being like, you got to go and you got to win this match right now. And I was like, you're right. I do have to win this match right now. And I went out there and took him down at the end, and I felt him break under me. I felt him break, and I won, moved on to the finals. And going into the finals, you know, I used to get nervous. Like I used to get a little nervous. Like I would like get that feeling, you know, like in your stomach, like the butterflies, like kind of like you're a little scared. You don't really know what's going to happen. You know, it's kind of all up in the air, but I was like that. And then I walked in and I saw the stage and I saw the lights and I saw the walkout stuff and the entrance. And I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. You know, like I shouldn't be anywhere else. Like this is where I should be. And I knew what I was going to do. I knew I was going to take him down a bunch of times and win the match. And then I didn't see the MOW trophy coming my way. Yeah. Truthfully, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did, and I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful for everything that happened in the way that it did. And you know, when I left West Virginia, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to wrestle again, if I was even going to compete, or what was going to happen. But you know, the things happened the way that they did, and I couldn't be more happy about it.
Well, there's kind of two, in addition to being a national champ, there was kind of two special moments. One, that you're the first ever wrestling national champ for Fairmont State. I know that must mean a lot. What does that mean to you and your coach? Your head coach has since moved on, but still that's a legacy. All wrestling programs, all athletic programs always keep track of their first, you know, and so you'll be the first ever Fairmont wrestling national champ. And for your coach, you know, he's the head coach there at the time, Johnston, at the time when you won. So what does that mean to you now, just a couple of years removed, to know that like the inaugural title for Fairmont was won by you?
It's huge. You know, being from West Virginia, like anybody that's like really from West Virginia and like grows up there, and you know, you just always want to like prove it. Like you want to prove yourself to everybody, because like especially in wrestling, because like I mean like Pennsylvania guys and Ohio guys, like they get that automatic respect. You know, like they get that like oh, he's from PA, you know, he's tough. Or you get that like oh, he's from Ohio, he's tough. He's from Michigan, he's tough. He's from New Jersey, he's tough. But like West Virginia, they're kind of just like oh, he's from West Virginia. Okay, we'll get through this match, and then you know we're on to the PA guy in the semis or whatever it is, you know. And I just always felt like I had to prove myself, like there was always a chip on my shoulder about like where I'm from, and maybe I didn't get the best opportunities or whatever it is. I didn't have the best training partners and the best coaches, which I mean, in my opinion, I did, but you know, it is what it is. And it's like Fairmont State, I didn't get people even in the finals. Like you hear the guy like mispronounce Fairmont like twice, and it's it's a small school. It's a small school. It's Division II. You know, it was our second year as a program when I won NCAA's. I was the first person to ever qualify, first All American, first national champ, and I just hope that like guys at Fairmont State right now can look at it and be like, okay, man, maybe we didn't have the nicest wrestling room. Maybe we didn't have the nicest stuff. Maybe we didn't have all the money in the world to pay these guys to come wrestle with us. But to me, it didn't matter. Like when I was at Fairmont, dude, we were rolling the mats out behind the bleachers, right? And mopping them ourselves. And like we didn't have like somebody that was like doing that stuff for us or nothing like that. But I really didn't want it that way. Like I wanted it how I got it. I want them to understand like just because you go to a place like that and you're not at the big school, like the big D2 schools with all the money and all the nice wrestling rooms and stuff like that, it doesn't matter, man. Like you just can go put in the work and you can go believe in yourself and believe in your training and believe in your training partners and believe in your coaches and your everything else, man. And like just take care of stuff and just go do your thing. Like you just don't have to have all that extra pressure. And like you don't need all that stuff. You can if you believe in yourself and your training partners and the way that you train, like really like truthfully believe in it, then like dude, you can do anything. Like 2 weeks leading up to nationals, I didn't even have a training partner. It was just me and Johnston. And I was on the bike and he was talking to me and I was just sprinting on the bike and he was just telling me to say out loud that like I'm the champ. I'm gonna win nationals. I'm the best. Like just manifesting it, right? And I love that. And like I said, I hope those guys at Fairmont can look at what I did and find inspiration in it and find motivation in it and look at it and be like, okay, this guy did it. You know, why not me? You know, I would love to have somebody up there with me. You know, I would like to see somebody win nationals from Fairmont. Like, you kidding me? That'd be sick. And you know, I hope that, like I said, I hope they can look at it and find inspiration in it and realize that like you really don't need all those handouts. You know, you don't need that stuff. You don't need to get babied. You can do it. You know, believe in it.
Well, that is super motivating. I think that's really a great attitude and heart to have as the first ever national champ of Fairmont, to want lots of guys to join you in that. You know, you'll be the first, but it would be awesome if you have a whole class of national champs out of Fairmont. So that'll be wonderful. And it actually does transition well to your MMA debut coming up, because you know, at the UFC or Bellator or PFL level, there are some gyms that are known as like mega gyms and super gyms, but you train out of Stout, which is a really big deal in the Pittsburgh area. But the reality is, it's the quality of work you're putting in. You mentioned being most outstanding wrestler out of the tournament. That's got to be incredible. And you had already kind of said you didn't expect it, but it really showed your level of work ethic. Let's jump to, because this has been awesome, your first time on the show, really talking about your background. In the future, when you're on, we'll focus more on, you know, what fights coming up. And obviously we have a huge fight coming up. Your debut is always going to be a big deal. Before we talk about your opponent, which I think is also a real step up and really shows you most people do not take on sort of a super quality opponent in their debut. That's no shade on them. Typically, you try to work some kinks out. You're taking on a beast, a 2-1 guy who could be fighting at advanced amateurs and a former D1 wrestler. But before we get to your opponent specifically, for you, what are you looking for in any MMA debut? I know you had a couple matches fall through. 247, I think, is an incredible organization. Glad your debut at amateur level will always be for 247. That's kind of a cool thing for 247 to have. They gave the debut to Tanner Gavin Teasdale, who is a known guy with 4 high school championships in Pennsylvania. And so I know that they really care about bringing these stud high school and college wrestlers into MMA. But talk about, what do you see as needing to be successful for your transition to MMA? And what's it been like training at Stout or anywhere else you've been training to build up to your MMA debut?
Yeah, dude. I can't really thank Stout enough. Like the people at Stout and like my training partners and like my coaches, like Mike Wilkins, like he's just the man. Like he's helped me so much, like just like with just anything, like takedown entries, like jujitsu in general, like just like anything. Like I just have a lot of respect for him, and I'm really grateful for him, you know, having him around. Same with Will, like Coach Will, like he's the man too. You know, he's helping me with my striking and he helps me a lot. And I think that him helping Siebert right before I got here um helped everybody because you know now he has a better idea of like what it's like for a wrestler, a lifelong wrestler transitioning into this stuff and helping us with that. And he's just a wizard. Like his like mind for striking is just like insane. It's like super detailed. It's incredible. Like every time we talk about striking, like my eyes are just like I'm blown away. He's just a genius. But like my training partners, like training with Anthony and Miguel and Lucas, and they're just like they know what to say to me. Like they know what I'm doing wrong, like things that I need to fix, like things that I can change, like from their experiences in the cage. They know like they just know what to say and they know how to help me. And as soon as they say it, I put it in, I lock it in, work on it, and then it's just a part of my arsenal after that. You know, so I love Stout. I love the fact that I moved here. I love Pittsburgh. I love I love Matt Factory. I love training with those guys. I love Isaac. I love all those guys, man. I'm thankful for all of them.
Well, I know those gyms you mentioned, of course, Stout and the Mad Factory, throw in the Academy and a couple others, always have this great mindset of teamwork. Cross training is so big. Dr. Isaac Greeley, Coach Isaac Greeley is huge into that, as are the Stout guys. And so there's always that mindset of Pittsburgh versus the world. You're going to really show that coming up. What are your thoughts on taking Tanner Cahill? You guys both wrestled and competed at Division One, but obviously going at a guy who's 2-1, well established in amateur MMA, like I mentioned, could be fighting advanced amateur. Why say yes to him specifically? And then go ahead and give your prediction or your thoughts on him as an opponent.
I said yes because I want to fight. Like just point blank, like I want to fight, and I've been trying to fight, and I wanted to fight in August, and then you know some things happened, and I didn't get to fight, but we keep it moving. I healed up. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm ready to go, man. And they said they offered me him, and I said let's do it. You know, if he wants to fight, I want to fight. I'm sure maybe he has a hard time finding fights too. You know, it's a lot of guys that don't want to fight. It's a lot of guys that probably don't want to fight him either. You know, 2-1. I'm happy about it. I think I'm training right. I think I'm living my life right. I think I'm doing a lot of things right. I think I got a lot of positive energy. I want to compete, man. Like it's not personal. It's nothing like it's not like I like hate him or nothing like that. Like I just want to compete. Like, and if he's the person that's across from me whenever we compete, then that's what it is. And I'm sure he feels the same. I'm sure he wants to compete. Like at the end of the day, like I'm just a competitor. Like everything else that comes with this stuff is like that is what it is. Like I'm in this because I want to compete. Like and I want to train. I love training and I love competing. And I love that feeling like that right about to compete, like that like nervous feeling, that like fear and that like everything else. And then the lights are on and I'm competing. And I've always been a gamer. Like I've always been like that. The lights are on, I'm on. Always have. Always been better in matches. Always just been better when I have the attention. You know, so I'm excited for it, man. I'm excited to get in there with him. He's a tough opponent. I'm excited that he said yes. I'm excited to get in there and scrap, man. Like I'm pumped about it. Like let's go.
Well, and it's great that you like the limelight and the spotlight and compete well, perform well, because you're going to be really a match to watch. But there's a lot of Cahill fans. He's got a lot of excitement behind him, which is well deserved and great. The shop guys always put on a great show. You're obviously making your debut as a former national champ. That's a huge deal. You mentioned sort of the environment, the Meadows or Monroeville. Either one are great, but the Meadows just has such a, and Lucas has fought for them at that venue before. I know he's told you about it. It's such a loud, tight space, huge crowd. You'll really feel that. For you, what's your shout outs, thank yous, or gratitudes coming to this? You obviously already made a big deal about Coach Will and Coach Mike Wilkins, who are both the reigning 247 award-winning coaches of the year, because we do a yearly award show, as well as team of the year for Stout. But any other thanks and shout outs you want to give as you head into, and then I can't wait for October 21st. I'm going to have Tanner Cahill on to talk about his side of this matchup too. It's going to be awesome to get his perspective on matching up against you, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. And I just want to thank, obviously Mike, Will, Stout, Isaac Greeley, Matt Factory, everybody I'm training with, man. And like anybody that's like following me, and like anybody that's like excited about me competing, like a lot of my friends at home, my parents, my brothers, they're pumped about it. Like I took a chance, like moving to Pittsburgh, I took a chance, and it's a leap of faith, and a lot of people are excited about it, man. And I just want to thank everybody for supporting me and just staying up with me. And I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about everything. I'm excited about the future. And so thank you, Stout. Thank you, Matt Factory. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Siebert. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Anthony. Like, I got love for everybody, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you're very welcome to have you on this show. I hope people really enjoyed getting to listen to not only your high school, college, but also what's bringing into MMA. Hopefully people will subscribe, for this more content like this. I'll have you on a bunch more in the future, but really doing my best for MMA Fancast to bring on the up and comings, the regional guys that in 5 years or so. Lucas has said this on this show, fast forward 5 years, the UFC is going to look entirely different. It always looks like that every 5 years. And I know Lucas has big plans, and it's great that you're training with him. I really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, it's first time having an NCAA wrestling national champ on the show, which is always just a cool experience for me to do something new and have a new experience on the show. Really appreciate you coming on. Everybody like and subscribe out there. You've been listening to Luke Basin from MMA Fancast with the upcoming debut MMA fighter, former Division II national champ, Luke Martin. Get your tickets from Luke. It'll really support him, or 247fighting.com. It's going to be awesome. Brawl in the Burgh 18 at the Meadows Casino. Come pack the house. Tickets will sell out to be in person. If you don't get them in time, you have to do pay-per-view. Thanks so much, Champ, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I really enjoyed it.
You got it. Take care. October 21st, live in action at the Meadows Casino. Thanks so much.
Thanks.